All right, let's talk about money. I know that money can be a taboo topic for lots of people out there. And I don't know why, honestly. I feel like money is something that's so important in our lives that it is something that we need to talk even more about. Yet, people, when you touch that topic with them, they seem to avoid it. Maybe that's the reason why some people don't have money. Maybe that's the reason why it is hard for them to keep money in their lives. And in fact, that's something that I want to discuss here in this video because when I first started this YouTube channel and I named the Cycle Breakers, I want to be able to use my word, my messages in order to inspire and motivate people to break those negative cycles that have been passed down to them by previous generations in their family, whether it's a cycle of poverty, whether it's a cycle of lack, a cycle of problems in relationships. I want to be able to give you my perspective and hopefully make you aware of new angles that you can tackle whatever issue might have been passed down to you. So in this case will be the issue of money or the lack of it. So in my life, I have always struggled with making money. I had always wanted money, but when I did get some money, I would always lose it. And I remember about this today when I went to a customer's house and I picked up a check for some work we did at their house yesterday. It literally only took us about 2.5 hours to complete the project. And from that project alone, my company will profit an equivalent amount of money than what I used to make working 2 full 8-hour days. So just a couple years ago, for me, making money that fast and that easy was something that I could only dream of. But I mean, here I am today after going through this personal growth of discovering these blocks that kept money away from me and eventually overcoming them. And that's what I want you to do for your own life. I know that you're an extremely hardworking person. I know that you're not afraid to wake up in the morning and go out there to work and provide for your family. But you always struggle with money. If you're like me, you can never seem to save enough. You would like to give your family and maybe even yourself all these beautiful experiences, but you can't because you have to be working, you have to be saving, and you have to be struggling. So that's what I want to be able to help you with in videos like this, and hopefully help you understand that you do deserve it. You do deserve to have money and have it in abundance. You do deserve to be able to provide for your family those beautiful experiences that you would like to provide for them. So with that being said, I want to talk to you in this video about the 3 main money blocks that I discovered in myself and that I see in people on a daily basis as I interact with them. So let's get started with the first one, and that is the money block of a scarcity mindset. Having a scarcity mindset will really do a lot of damage to you when it comes to your finances. When you thinking lack, when you constantly are fearful of losing what you have, I don't know why this happens, but you always end up losing it. You see, when I was saving money back then, I managed to get a little bit of money in my savings account, and it wasn't a big amount. I think I got it up to like $7,000, and I had some money. I was hoarding it, and the thing is that I was not saving this money for for good purposes. I mean, of course, we want to have that cushion there in case anything happened, but that was literally why I was doing it. I had always heard the term that says you gotta save for rainy days, and that's why I had that money there. I did not want to touch it. There were times where I wanted to buy myself something nice, and I didn't because I wanted to keep the money there, because you never know, the economy might go down, or you might get sick, or something could happen. And now looking at it in retrospect, I realized how flawed that type of thinking was, because eventually those things did end up happening. I would get sick, my car would break down, family member would get sick, and I had to help them pay medical bills, and I could never get past a certain amount. Every time I'll get there, something will happen, and then my money will go down again. And maybe I was manifesting that into my life. I was manifesting those issues because of my scarcity mindset. When you go into things with fear will overtake your decisions, and eventually that fear will sabotage whatever success you're trying to get. I remember another time where I tried to invest in the stock market because I had a friend that was already doing it, and he would try to convince me, to invest in the market. And I eventually agreed to invest a couple $1,000 because when I would meet up with him, he will show me his wallet or his portfolio, and his money will grow consistently. So I mean, who doesn't want their money to grow? And with the promise that he was going to help me invest, I started to invest myself. I bought a couple shares from different companies, and literally within a couple days, my money had gone down like 20 or 30%, and I panicked. So what I did, I did not even consult with him or anything. I just sold whatever I had there, and took my money out of the market and put it back in my savings account. And next time I met up with him, I confessed to him that I had sold every stock that I had owned, and I did it at a loss because I was panicking because I didn't want to lose money. I went into the investment originally thinking that it was not going to work, and I had proven for myself that the market was going to make me lose money. And when I sold, I honestly, at that point, that's when I actually lost the money. And I could tell that he was very disappointed and frustrated because he was also holding the same type of stocks that I was holding. And he explained that what happened was just like a little dip, and the market it fluctuates like that. And when I panic sold, that's when I actually did lose the money because the market eventually rebound. And if I had been patient, I could have made more money than what I originally put in there. So that's one way that scarcity mindset can sabotage success. And how do you fight it? So how do you change that? Because I mean, for the most part, one thing I've noticed is that we are kind of attuned to scarcity, to lack. And in many cases, we get this from family members as we grow up, or friends, or people that we listen to growing up in life. But the way you combat that is by changing your perspective. Try to focus on abundance more than you do in lack. In fact, forget about lack as a whole. Focus on abundance. When you look into the universe, or you look at things around you, you notice how abundant the universe is. You don't see an apple tree with only one apple. You see an apple tree, in many cases, full of apples. When you plant a seed, that you get from one apple or one orange, for example, you plant it, you don't expect that seed to only give you one fruit or like one specific orange or one apple. That seed gives you hundreds over the course of its lifetime, hundreds of apples or hundreds of oranges. And that's the nature of the universe. The universe is abundance. You don't go to the ocean and look at it and say, oh, well, it only has a couple droplets of water. The ocean has billions and billions of gallons of water. And then you look around, you see rivers, you see forests, you see all this abundance that the universe has. And therefore, you need to start noticing it more. And I know you might be asking, well, what does that have to do with me? I don't have abundance in my life. I can almost guarantee you there is abundance in your life. You just don't want to notice it. For example, you sleep in a nice, comfy bed. You have abundance in that sense. There's people out there sleeping under bridges. You can literally, if you're watching this through an electronic or a computer, you literally, have electricity. You literally can get up and go get a cup of water and you just walk a couple steps. When there's people out there who don't have electricity and they have to walk 3 or 4 miles just to get to a well so they can get water for themselves. So you do have abundance. You just don't want to notice that right now. But that's how you start to change your mindset when it comes to scarcity. You start focusing on the abundance that you have, and you begin to give thanks for it. Another thing that I've noticed is people that see success on others, and rather than be happy for them, they criticize them. They feel, or they fall into victimism. Why is it possible that they have that and not me? That is a victim mindset, and it also has something to do with the scarcity, because you are looking at that person and saying, hey, you hoarding more than me. I need to be able to get that too, like. So it's a shift in your mind that you need to do. But let me tell you, once you start doing these changes, you will start to notice changes in your life. You will start to notice how your life gets a lot better. So that's the very first money block. You change your scarcity mindset, and that's how you discover it, by analyzing how you feel about money. Are you afraid for it to leave you? Are you afraid to invest? Are you afraid that others might have more than you? And then if you do have this money block, start to counter it. Counter it by noticing abundance. Counter it by not being so afraid of investing money in yourself or investing money on others, because money needs to flow. Money is an energy, so always remember that. So first money block, scarcity mindset. The second money block is low self-worth. This is a big one. I know that I struggle with this one as well. When you have low self-worth, you don't think you deserve something in your life, and in this case is that you don't think you deserve money. And when you don't feel like you deserve something, that something doesn't want to come to you. And this one is very dangerous, because this one hides in other aspects of your life. For example, you might feel worthless, but you are extremely overproductive. So you spend long hours at work, you spend long hours at your business, but that's you trying to compensate for yourself by overworking and saying, this is how I can tell that I am actually worth it, because I can produce all these things. Low self-worth also hides behind undercharging. So for example, if you have a business, you feel like whatever you do or the value that you provide is not enough, and you feel like as if people feel bad for you, and that's the reason why they are trying to compensate you for what you do, so you undercharge. Another one is by feeling guilty when you get some type of success. You feel as if you don't deserve it. You play it off as if, oh, it's not that big of a deal. Oh, I didn't really do anything important. Whenever you get this mindset about yourself, it's very hard for you to accumulate or compound achievements, because eventually you will sabotage it. You will sabotage opportunities, because your mind will always get in the way. Your mind will turn into your worst enemy. You might be offered an opportunity to start a business or do something with business, and you might say, you know what, this is not gonna work. You are literally your biggest enemy at that point. So low self-worth is a big one, and I know I had that, because I had a lot of opportunities to make money back then when I wasn't really making much money, and I would always sabotage myself. I remember I would buy courses online to try to make some money online, and then I would cancel the memberships, because I had maybe invested $100 or $500 on a course, and then my mind would go, well, you're not gonna make it work, you're gonna lose that money, ask for that money back. And I'm sure I annoyed a couple of people out there online by asking for refunds, but that's how I would always sabotage my potential success. And I did not want to pay for anything. I wanted everything to be free, because I didn't want to take any risks. And that was another one. I did not feel worthy of purchasing something and going along with it and going through with the whole thing, because I honestly knew from the beginning that I was gonna fail. I was not betting on myself. But the truth is, and now I can see it from this other side, or getting to this other side, is that you don't earn your worth. You are worthy already. You just have to believe it. And unfortunately, most people don't, or most people at least that are living life in lack, they don't believe that they are worthy of having everything that they want. But I will tell you one thing: when you show up and do it with confidence and knowing that you're worth it, the universe will always match that energy, and you will be presented lots of opportunities. You will be introduced to people who can open doors for you, and at that point, if you already feel worthy, you know that you are capable of achieving anything that's presented to you, and you will take on those opportunities, and those opportunities will open the doors to your wealth. And now the last one is the fear of responsibility, or the fear of loss. And I know that lots of people associate having money with stress. So I know for a fact that when I used to work a corporate job, I would talk to people about, moving up the corporate ladder, because when I started working at that particular company, my goal was to move up the corporate ladder. And I would often ask other people that were working there what their goals were, and sometimes I would mention, do you want to move up the corporate ladder? And they would make it seem like if I just mentioned something terrible to them, and they would say, "Oh no, I don't want that responsibility. I don't want." They have the money, but they don't have the life. That's one thing that I remember hearing often. And I mean, the people working at higher positions, were making good money. They were living in that big house. They had the nice cars. And to me, they look fairly happy. I'm sure those people got their vacation. I'm sure those people were saving enough for retirement. But the people at the bottom saw those people as something that they wanted to stay as far away from. When you feel responsibility, I believe that fear has root in the fact that you don't want to be perceived as different from those people that and it happens a lot when you stumble upon a good chunk of money. You hear these sayings from people that claim that money changes people, that people will start to see you in a different light. And that, again, that was personally something that I experienced, because when I was growing up, I remember family members who were religious, and some of them still are, would say something like, "It is easy for a camel to enter through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter the kingdom of God." They will have all these quotes that they will get from the Bible to justify their lack of money, to justify the fact that they were humble, and that's the type of human that God loved more. And that's how I got this perception that having money was not a good thing. Having money equals loss of respect, equals loss of connections or social connections. And this is something that I discovered as I did my own internal work, and I realized how dumb these things are. Honestly, money is an amazing tool that you can get in this planet, and you can use it to live a good life, to give yourself experiences that bring you happiness. Money itself does not bring you happiness, but I feel like the experiences that you can get with money can bring you happiness. Such as paying for someone's cancer treatment, such as helping a family in a third world country to build their home that they've been struggling to build for a while. Money gives you these options. It gives you the freedom to do the things that you want to do, because whether we want to accept it or not, whether we want to believe that the topic of money is taboo, the money is extremely important in this planet, and it's much better, in my opinion, to have it than to lack it. So that's why I want to make this video. I want to help you overcome whatever negative beliefs you have about money, and I know that you can do it, because honestly, if I'm able to do it, if I have been able to work through some of these mental blocks that I have accepted as a kid, and maybe even as an adult, about money, anybody can do it. Because I can almost guarantee you, if you've heard something negative about money, I've heard it as well. So we're gonna touch more on this topic in future videos, but I did want to make this video today and share with you the 3 most common money blocks that you can find in yourself, or maybe you can find in people around you. So with that being said, thanks for watching. I believe we're almost to 20 minutes in this video. I don't want to make this video too long, but if you have any questions, suggestions, ideas, or any comments you would like to leave me, make sure to leave those in the comment section of this video. And like this video if you like this type of content. Subscribe to my channel. I'll greatly appreciate it if you do that, and I will see you on the next one. Bye bye.